Awesome. And we are live on the air this evening, 11:11 p.m. Welcome, Tick Nation, to your Xbox hero, KORX Kal-El. I have a lot to discuss tonight. For some apparent reason, when I start the show, I like to be real mellow before I get kind of hyped into everything and really start going off. I really enjoy that aspect of just flipping a switch and going in. Give me a few seconds. I just want to make sure that my phone is off before we begin. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Greatly appreciate it. And hope you enjoy tonight's conversation. All right. Let me jump back into the other screen. Nice. Oh, I don't know who that is. Fat Gamer 3600. I haven't heard of him, man, but if he did pass away, that is a very unfortunate situation. Life is very short. So, guys, please don't waste it on the bickering and fighting between PlayStation and Xbox. Like, really, people have to understand that life is, you only get one. You know what I'm saying? In today's world, it's very crazy. Is very insane. And people make crazy choices and do stupid things and make terrible decisions that cost people their lives every day. It doesn't matter what creed or race you are. It just happens. And it's unfortunate if Fat Gamer if he did pass away. I've never heard of him, but my condolences go out to him if it is true. If not, that is a terrible, terrible prank. And that is, I really don't condone those type of things. But yeah, man, let's jump in to Super Podshots today. I got a lot to talk about, a lot on my mind. Really upset with Square Enix once again. I don't know if I want to go on a rant. I don't think it's appropriate, but at the same time, I definitely want to express my opinion on some of the things that they have done as of late. And also want to talk about Capcom. Talk a little bit about Capcom. It's been a minute since I touched on them. We'll discuss Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5. And then we'll go right into a few other topics before hitting what we are here for, Microsoft, of course, and what they got planned for 2017. So let's go ahead and begin. Hey, Exponites, welcome to Planet Xbox, and you are listening to your Xbox hero, KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox, and you're listening to Super Podshots. For those of you who don't know what Super Podshot is, it's my own individual show. I try to give little pod shots or little shots of information based on what the buzz is in the industry, as well as have a good heavy focus on Xbox, depending on what the news is. I wouldn't say it was a multi-plat show, but it definitely kind of touches on little things here and there. So right now, I want to talk about Square Enix and how they continue to give Microsoft the shaft. We all know Microsoft does not do well in the JRPG department. I don't know how many episodes I've gone on and on and on about how I would like to see Microsoft get more JRPGs. It's just really out of their hands at this point. I don't want to put it just on them. I think they've made a conservative effort this time around compared to last time, where they were really aggressive and they tried to get some of the RPGs on it. And honestly, they may have had the best RPG on their console last generation with Lost Odyssey. There was a couple others that were absolutely amazing. Tales of Symphonia was amazing. You had there were some on PlayStation. I can't think off the top of my head, as well as Nintendo had, I believe, the Xenogears series on the Wii, which, you know, very interesting. I haven't played it, but from what I understand is actually a pretty solid RPG. Clearly, when it comes to handhelds, they dominate when it comes to the JRPG scene. But I want to talk about Kingdom Hearts, man. And I know Kingdom Hearts isn't your typical JRPG. It's more of an action game. It has a lot of RPG elements in it. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. But I just can't comprehend, and I said this earlier in on Twitter right before I headed out the house for work. I just can't comprehend how Square can put out a Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and a Kingdom Hearts 2.5 exclusively to the PlayStation 4, not even think about bringing it or even attempt to bring it to the Xbox One, yet release Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Xbox One. And the crazy thing about that, the thing that irks me the most out of that is the simple fact that when asked what should Xbox gamers do to compensate for maybe those who may not have played the original series on the PS2, go to YouTube. Really? Really? Really, Square? Listen, Square has fell from grace. You know, a few years ago, not even a few years, about a decade ago, in my opinion, Square to me was untouchable. You know, I felt like Square was the epitome of Japanese game development. To me, they were top class. In my opinion, you could not tell me Square was not the best. You couldn't tell me. I don't care. Whatever they produced, I purchased. It didn't matter what it was. It could have been Tobo #1. It could have been, anything Final Fantasy. It could have been a few other games. I can't think off the top of my head, but they've had their hands in a lot of different games. And I used to go out and purchase those things religiously. And the disappointing thing about that isn't the fact that they aren't thinking that the games couldn't sell. It's the simple fact that they disregard the gamers that may go out and actually purchase Kingdom Hearts 3 and then to sit there and make them want to go on YouTube just to catch up. The thing that really pisses me off is that when you look at what happened with Mass Effect that came out originally and was originally published by Microsoft, people think EA bought BioWare and they automatically got Mass Effect 1. They did not. That is not how that went down. Let me explain to you how that went down. Microsoft owned the publishing because BioWare was independent, just like Sunset Overdrive. They owned the publishing rights for that game. They did not own the game, but they owned the publishing rights for it. When EA purchased BioWare, this is the reason why you didn't get Mass Effect 1 immediately on the PlayStation 3. They dropped Mass Effect 2. As they went on to make Mass Effect 3, they worked out a deal with Microsoft and purchased the publishing rights for the first game and wind up bundling it with 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 3. They purchased those publishing rights, but they got the trilogy. They were able to complete that story. They weren't told that they had to go to YouTube to look up the story or that they don't have to worry about it because the stories don't really connect. And in my opinion, that is absolutely crap. I don't care what type of backlog you want to put on it. There is nothing like playing the original game. Gears of War 4, absolutely amazing game. Been playing it. Love it. Me and my boy, man, that game is tough. That is a tough. I don't know how many times I died in the Act 1 when you kind of go in that horde mode for the first time, and they send out those guardians, and them things are shooting rockets at you. It's like super difficult to survive, man. I mean, yeah, you do a lot of dodging and rolling, but if your partner gets blown up, it's over. You got to start all over again, and it's tough when you have somebody else and you're depending on them to survive. But they went ahead and put this prologue in the beginning of the game, and it kind of gave you a synopsis of what happened during the Pendulum Wars, what happened on Emergence Day, and what happened at the end. That does not compensate for anyone who has not played Gears 1, 2, or 3 and has truly experienced those games or has truly experienced the multiplayer of those games. So to sit up there and disregard Microsoft because it may not have a big presence in Japan, to disregard the presence that it has in America, to disregard the presence that it has in the UK, to me, is like utterly disrespectful, in my opinion. And I sit up here and I say to myself, what happens if Scorpio comes out and it becomes more successful than the Xbox One? What if everybody decides that they're going to pick up an Xbox One Scorpio? And I'm not saying it's going to close that 20 million gap, because I think people think that the Xbox One Scorpio is a new console, a new generation. It's not. It just continues on the regular Xbox sales that's already there. It's not going to be a separate sales chart for Scorpio. I don't want people to be confused about that. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than them selling a regular Xbox One. All of those things will be counted as one. The Xbox One S, the regular Xbox One, and the Xbox One Scorpio will all be counted as Xbox Ones and what those sales include, just like PS4, PS4 Slim, and PS4 Pro. So please don't get it confused. But at the same time, if the Xbox One Scorpio comes out and everyone picks up this console, and I'm not saying it's going to close the gap. That's not what I'm saying. But it becomes a more successful product. It's more purchasable than the original Xbox One. Do the Japanese developers then turn around and start putting games on there? Does that change the fact that you neglected 25, 30 million people that have an Xbox One right now, all this time? I can't put it completely on Phil, because you got to have the developers that actually want to put it on the console. I have all the respect in the world for Namco Bandai. Absolutely. I will never disregard Namco Bandai. I don't care if their games are garbage. I will never forget that they continued to produce games and felt that putting those games on both consoles was important to them, because it didn't matter. They wanted to make money. They wanted to make money. People act like JRPGs are just knocking sales out of the park like it used to back in the day on the PS2 era, or back in the day, even last generation. They're not. JRPGs aren't dropping 4 million. They're not killing the game like that. So every little bit helps. Even if you sold 200,000 on that console, that's 200,000 sales at $60 a pop. Now, a lot of people want to talk about Final Fantasy Zero. Let's be realistic here. I purchased the demo. I've actually bought Final Fantasy Zero just to get the demo for Final Fantasy 15. The crazy part about that is I still, to this day, as a JRPG head, have not played Final Fantasy Zero. To me, I don't care what type of remaster they did. That game to me is so outdated. It's a Vita. It was a handheld game. I can't play it. Even if I looked at it as a idea Xbox game, like an indie title. For some apparent reason, I have no interest in that game, but I have all the interest in the world in Final Fantasy 15. And in my opinion, if they're going to do something, they really need to judge based off of that. How many sales did you get out of Final Fantasy 15? Final Fantasy 13 did pretty well on the original 360. Now, some of those fans who played those JRPGs maybe jumped the PlayStation. That is a very strong possibility. But I still recognize that there is a good niche base on the Xbox that are willing to pay for quality content when it comes to these type of games. And Kingdom Hearts is not even a true Japanese RPG. It's very Americanized. It's very action-based. And you're talking about Disney characters. Are you really going to give somebody Kingdom Hearts 3? They don't have no idea what's going on. They don't know who the Heartless is. They don't know about Organization 13. Everybody's trying to figure out why the hell Mickey is so emo. You know, it's crazy. You don't even know the dynamic of the friendship that's going on between the three main characters. You don't know this. You've missed this. And then you just continue to disregard that, but you continue. To me, if you're not going to put 1.5 and 2.5 on Xbox, then keep 3. Just keep 3. Keep Kingdom Hearts 3. You might as well do it and not put it on the console at all. Just disregard the Xbox whatsoever, because you're giving people an incomplete series. It's a trilogy. That's why sequels are sequels for a reason. You're continuing a story. And if you're not able to continue that story, you're starting from the last story? Come on. How is that? I don't even understand the logic behind that. So frustrating. So goddamn frustrating sometimes. It really is. It really has been that way. And it's disappointing that it is that way. So, look, man, we'll see what happens clearly. You know, I don't want to sit up here and make it seem like maybe Square won't come out later on down the road and I have egg on my face because they released the 1.5, 2.5, and 3 trilogy on Xbox, you know, a few months later. But in my opinion, by that point is what's the point? What's the point? If I buy Kingdom Hearts 3 and if I've never played 1.5 and I never played 2.5, why the hell am I going to then go out and buy a trilogy 6 months later after either some time exclusivity has been given up? What makes it even worse is the simple fact that if it is timed, they don't even say anything about it. They were hella quick to say something about Tomb Raider, but won't say a peep about Final Fantasy VII, which I know from someone had a big head at Microsoft that I know is timed on PlayStation and will eventually hit the Xbox One. And they don't even say anything about that. And they don't even say anything about these remix additions to a trilogy that the Xbox gamers not getting. Square Enix continues to give Xbox gamers the shaft. They continue that. They were so desperate to put Final Fantasy 14 on the Xbox. They're so desperate to do that. They want to put an MMO on there to take your money, but they don't have enough respect to give the Xbox gamers the beginning of a trilogy that you're going to put on the console. The final game on a console. Stop. Like, Xbox gamers we're not stupid. We, you know, if you want to, we may be Americans, we may be from the UK, we may be westernized, but we're not stupid. I really feel kind of irritated and irked about that, almost to the point that I really want to go on a rant, if I haven't already, if this isn't one. But it can be very frustrating. It really can be very frustrating, and it's disappointing. Even Dead Rising 4 is a timed exclusive. Tomb Raider was a timed exclusive. Crazy. And the funny part is that I'm not even mad for myself for 1.5 or 2.5. I played both Kingdom Hearts. I'm mad for the Xbox gamers who haven't. I'm upset because there's going to be a ton of Xbox gamers out there that may go out and buy Kingdom Hearts 3 and really don't know what's happening in the game except for what's happening in Kingdom Hearts 3. And you don't get a chance to experience it unless you buy a PS2. Or you get a PS4 and you play some old school games in PS Now or wherever they have Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. So, you know, as one of the voices for the community for Xbox, I feel some sort of way. I do. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. I feel some sort of way. I do. Because I just feel like it's not right. I really don't. I don't know. I don't want to say it's biased. That's the last thing I want to say. To me, bias gets thrown around way too much. Clearly, there is some sort of, you know, there's things that make sense. Xbox doesn't sell in Japan, clearly. 60,000, 70,000 consoles in Japan, absolutely horrendous. You're not really going to make any money on that, clearly. I get it. Even if you release that game in Japan for the console, everybody's going to get it on PlayStation. And I get that. But you're still disregarding the amount of people that went out and bought these consoles in the West. And it's not even like the gap between PlayStation and Xbox in the West is that humongous, at least not in North America. It's not even that huge. So to me, it's just crazy to disregard that amount of people if they don't have a PlayStation 4. You cannot assume everyone has a PS4. There's a lot of Xbox guys that don't have a PS4. And they may have been interested in this game and they won't. And people always say all the time, Xbox guys hate J. Stop stereotyping us. Stop doing that. Okay? Just because we like shooters and we like action games and we love multiplayer does not mean guys don't like single player campaigns. Doesn't mean we don't love stories. Doesn't mean we don't like to play Japanese games. I have a ton of friends who love playing Japanese games. I have a ton of people that I know who want to continue to play Japanese games and would love for more of those things to come to the Xbox. So don't stereotype us. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit up there and stereotype PS guys and say they're all emo. All they want to do is play with anime characters all day. I don't do that. So, I mean, don't do that to us, man. It's not cool. It really isn't. Moving on. So Capcom, oh, poor Capcom. You know, Capcom just one of those legendary franchises where it's like, you know, you really want to see them come back, man. They got so many great games. They've created so many great franchises, and you really want to see them come back. And they've been doing this thing where they have been given exclusivity to certain games. Dragon's Dogma got exclusivity in Japan. Dragon's Dogma Online, very disappointed in that, especially with the first one being on Xbox 360. Turn around, you have Dead Rising being exclusively, Dead Rising 3 being an exclusive launch title on the Xbox One. Turn around, Dead Rising 4 is timed exclusive to the Xbox One. Street Fighter 5 is completely funded by PlayStation. And I'm going to get to Street Fighter 5 because this is what this whole conversation is about, as well as what is the name of that game? The Dragon game, I forget. But they also, people tend to forget about this Dragon game. It's one of the games that actually caught my attention before I got confused about what the hell Capcom was doing. I thought it was a medieval game. You were playing a knight, you battled dragons and, all types of mythological creatures. Then they put you in some hotel room with a TV. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? I don't understand. Are we the Matrix? What is I don't get it. I'm trying to figure out what's happening with Capcom, and I'm very confused as to what that situation is. But Street Fighter 5 continues its falter. They went ahead, they made the deal with PlayStation. Sony, in my opinion at the time, I thought it was really smart. For a very long time, Xbox was actually running Evo. They were using Xbox One controllers, which I don't know why. I always felt like the Xbox, well, they weren't using controller, they were using the sticks. I'm sorry, let me not rephrase that. They were using fight pads, but they were playing like Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox. Sony ran around, they get the exclusivity deal, all of the Xboxes get taken out, all the PlayStations get put in, and Street Fighter is now, Evo is now the home of PlayStation. Microsoft has Killer Instinct and they do their own thing. It shows up at Evo. Now Killer Instinct is starting to develop his own little tournament, which is pretty cool. And Killer Instinct is an amazing fighter. Very, very great game. And I'm glad that a lot of people get a chance to play it. But Street Fighter 5 sells under 100,000 copies between August and September. What is happening? What has happened to Street Fighter? What has happened to Street Fighter, and why is this game this bad and poor when it comes to sales? You're talking about a legendary franchise. Legendary. Everybody plays Street Fighter. I don't care if your grandmama picked up a controller. She knows how to do a Hadouken. And it's disappointing because it seems like I don't think this game will ever hit the Xbox. And at this point, if I was them, I would drop it on the Xbox. I would completely figure out a way to get out of this PlayStation deal and try to recoup as much money as I can. Because I can tell you right now, they're not recouping a dime. This might be one of the biggest flops in Capcom history. And it's very disappointing that the game has sold the way it is. It was rushed out the gate. It was just so much missing. It was bare bones. And now they're trying to force all of this DLC into the game, and people just aren't buying it. They're done with the game. They are absolutely done with the game. And that's just very disappointing in itself. And it's, it's just crazy, man. I just can't comprehend how Capcom continues to do this. Capcom is extremely either broke or they just need to sell some franchises to recoup some money. I don't want to say this word. You can't just keep, selling yourself. I didn't want to say the bad word for that. You can't just keep selling yourself out, you know what I'm saying, to make a few bucks. And if these games don't recoup, or you don't get a big enough payment to recoup that, it's crazy. And it is their fault. It's absolutely their fault for doing this. Now, I really hope Dead Rising 4 sells extremely well, because Dead Rising 3 was a great game. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people felt the frame rate was terrible, and it was at time. But dude, they used the cloud. There were like 1,000 zombies on screen at once. All of them had some sort of different thing that made them unique in itself. Just throwing a nuke out and watching it explode and wipe out a whole block of zombies is absolutely insane. Very impressed with the game. Very impressed with the game. Clearly. So I'm really looking forward to 4. And I thought that 3 story was really, really good. Even the DLC they had after with the Hyper Street Fighter Ultra Dimension, I thought it was really cool how they had that title, and they kind of used like the Street Fighter characters. I thought that was a really great add-on. But Dead Rising 4 takes place with Frank and Frank West, and not the original character from 3. And I don't know if that story continues, but I really hope it does, because I thought that 3 story was really interesting. If you haven't played 3, play it. It's actually a really good story. People look at the game and just think you drive around and kill zombies all day, but the story behind it was actually really good. I have to admit that. So I don't know if Capcom can figure out a way to get out of this deal, if there's some type of clause that they can break to snap out of it, how long that deal is in place. But man, 2 things need to happen. Either they need to figure out a way to get that game on the Xbox and recoup that money, or they better make Street Fighter 4 BC as soon as possible. Because if Street Fighter 4 was BC, I would buy it. I would definitely pick it up. And I know my homeboy would pick it up too, and we would just go crazy on Street Fighter 4 and BC. We got tournaments now. You got clubs now. You could definitely make a tournament for Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox, and everybody will join in and play those games. So they should definitely make Street Fighter 4 backwards compatible as soon as they can, or they need to make Street Fighter 5 available for Xbox One. They really should do that. All right, so we're going to move on from that topic. And listen, man, I heard some bad rumors about PSVR, man. And it's what's crazy is that I was in Best Buy today, and guys trying on these Oculus Rift headsets. They had Rift in Best Buy. You know, and the guy is cool when I'm chatting with him about VR and stuff. Like, he's like, "You want to try?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm good." I'm like, "Nah, man." I'm good, man. I am good. Dude's not even cleaning these things off. Now, PSVR supposedly is giving people ocular herpes. If this is true, if it's not a rumor, this is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting and nasty. And these are the public demos. So I don't know if you can actually clean them thoroughly enough to where, you know, after you clean them, they wouldn't get that infection. But if you think about putting a headset on after someone else who more than likely have sweated their eye sockets out with that thing over their face, looking around, playing a game, moving, you're going to exert a little bit of energy here and there. If they're sweating on those goggles, a wipe down is not going to get rid of any type of thing that could be passed on to somebody else to give them ocular herpes. That is absolutely disgusting. That is absolutely insane. And I am like, be wary, man. Don't just go out and just try anything. Make sure people are thoroughly cleaning these things down with alcohol pads multiple times, some sort of disinfectant, anything that they can do to make sure that you don't get sick. This guy was not even wiping this stuff off. I'm just like, bro, he's just handing it to the next person, bro. It was almost like you were at a buffet and you just see people just put their fork in the food, and they were just taking food out with their forks, and they already ate off of them. And you're just like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm just going to go home at this point, because this is gross. And so, you know, I had to leave, man. I wasn't trying that. But they definitely need to figure out some way to do a better job of showing on VR. I think that the PSVR is a success. A lot of people say it flopped. I don't know if it did, man. There's a lot of people I've seen that are picking them up. They already have PS4s. I don't know if PS4 Pro is going to explode and sell out of the world. And what's crazy about that is that when I was in the store, I talked to a lot of casual people, and no one knows about the Pro. No one knows about Scorpio. And I'm like, hey, yeah, you know, you heard about PS4 Pro? Nah, what's that? What? What? Hey, you heard about Microsoft Scorpio? Nah, what's that? What? This is crazy to me. So, you know, obviously the hardcore, we follow these things, but the casual people out there, they have not heard about this stuff. They probably won't know about it until it releases. And the majority of the hardcore will be the ones that buy these consoles early anyway. It always is. We're always the first to buy it. So it's just ironic that, you know, the hardcore clearly are going to be replacing their consoles and picking up this VR stuff. Microsoft had that Windows 10 event recently. I thought they knocked it out the park when it came to that Surface Studio, and I thought that was absolutely amazing. The price was astronomical and ridiculous. It was Apple-like, and I was kind of disappointed in that because I really wanted that desktop. But they did get the VR thing going, which was cool at $299. And people say, hey, it's just a cheap knockoff. But you know what that does? What that does is it gives people a cheap entryway into VR. And even if the quality isn't good, if one of those sets, the Asus, the Lenovo, the Dell, whatever, whoever they got working with them, if one of those sets quality is just as good as PSVR at $299, it will eventually force Oculus and it will eventually force Rift, the higher quality sets, to drop down in price. Even $400, $500, or $450, $450, to me, would force them to drop their price to compete. And that's what happens. That generates competition. So that was really smart for them. And I think Scorpio is going to be allowed to use any VR device they want, thanks to Windows 10. You'll be able to use Rift, Oculus, whatever the hell Microsoft was showing off yesterday. Clearly, HoloLens's little AR headset, which looks completely different from their original headset, at least what the guy was showing off. So I thought that was really interesting in itself too. Very smart on Microsoft's part to do that, allow all these people to start putting their VR headsets in, and it will be one to rule them all at some point. People will, it's just like anything else. TVs, laptops, people will wind up focusing on one good pair of VR headsets, and that will be the standard. And from there on, everybody else has to play catch up. Whatever that price is, whatever they do, everyone else will have to catch up. And I think that's really smart. It's really smart on their part, and I'm really glad that they were able to do that and implement it the way they did. I thought doing this for themselves and doing it for Scorpio, really, really smart. Just really smart. Just not really throwing their hat in the ring after the failure of Kinect, the debacle with the Xbox, not really putting their hands out there where it's like they could take another risk. I don't think Microsoft could take another risk and fail. So allowing them to these VR devices to get out there and see if it's success, see how it sustains itself, see if it really blows up, and then they can, make their own headset and make it as powerful or as unique as they possibly can. Maybe a hybrid of AR and VR. We'll see what happens, but I think it's really smart. People tend to say that Microsoft does not innovate. They, I guess you can say, evolve or revolutionize something that's already out. I think that's absolutely bogus. I think Microsoft is very innovative. They've always been. You look at the Xbox and how many people has copied the Xbox. For Christ's sake, Nintendo just copied the Xbox One controller. Like, come on. Online, Ethernet, Xbox Live, are we really talking about internal hard drives compared to memory cards? How does Microsoft not innovate? If you think they don't, you're playing yourself and you need to do your research. Keep in mind, Google did steal some of their patents for a lot of Android tech. Think about that. Keep that in mind. So Microsoft definitely innovates, man, and I look forward to what they have coming up for us later on. All right, so I want to talk about Microsoft's 2017 games lineup. Holiday is passing very soon. It's been, like my man Anchorman saying, broke-tober. Love that line. If you haven't heard his recent Top Shelf episode, he talks about Broke-tober and he talks about Titanfall on that exclusive one topic podcast. But we had Gears. You're talking about Battlefield. You talk about Titanfall. There's a lot of games dropping, bro. And people just go broke, man. Just buying all these different games and stuff like that. I had Battlefield 1. I haven't even touched it yet. I'm right now playing Gears of War. I'm going to do a backlog and wind up finishing Far Cry. And I'm going to play Witcher 3 for the first time. I hate Witcher, by the way. One of the few Western RPGs that I can't stand. I played Witcher 2. I just completely was bored with it. Just completely bored. But everybody's saying Witcher 3 is different, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a try and see how it is. Hopefully I like it. Hopefully I can give it some good reviews or maybe even stream it. But jumping back to the subject, 2017 looks incredible. Once we get past Dead Rising 4, which should be really, really good, we're talking about a lot of big titles, man. A lot of big titles. I think Cuphead got pushed. Hopefully that comes out. Below got pushed. Been waiting on Below forever, but hopefully that drops. You're talking about Scalebound, possibly Crackdown, Halo Wars 2. And that's just a few. And that my understanding, those games may be coming out early. I'm pretty sure Forza 7 will drop next year. Whatever other exclusive titles they have, Scorpio drops at the end of the year. You got Red Dead Redemption, which more than likely will hit Scorpio and probably be the definitive edition based on the specs, if they use the specs to its true potential. It's a possibility they can always go 1080, but if they do go 4K and they're able to keep the fidelity, I think that would be really impressive. And you know what's crazy about that? I think about the PlayStation 4 Pro, and Microsoft recently put out an ad, which I thought was sort of misleading, talking about how they have the only console that's true 4K with true high fidelity VR. And as much as I respect the marketing for that, I still have to acknowledge that the PlayStation 4 Pro does do VR pretty good. And it does have a few games in 4K. I'm not saying that they're high end, could be medium settings, regular AAA titles that we play right now, but those games will run in 4K. NBA 2K17 is one of them. Some of their own exclusives, I believe, will be native 4K as well. But I'm sitting here saying to myself, if those games could be native 4K, just think about this for 1 second. If those games could be native 4K, and Scorpio has more power than the PS4 Pro, why all of a sudden is it so hard for Scorpio to have most of their games in 4K native? Like, PlayStation 4 is doing it. You have all of these PC guys ripping Microsoft about them not being able to push these games out in 4K. And I'm not a resolution person, but I just want people to acknowledge something. The PS4 Pro, yes, the majority of their games are upscaled, but they have already stated that they will have games in 4K native. And some of those games have already been announced. So how is it that Xbox won't have these games in 4K with 6 teraflops? Let alone, I think they will actually have these things in 4K at a better visual fidelity. I think the games are going to look even better texture-wise. It may be even a high fidelity. We don't know what the CPU is. All we know right now is that PlayStation is sitting on Jaguar. Phil Spencer already came out and said they're probably not going to go with a Jaguar CPU. So that's dead by itself. 12 gigs of RAM is already put in. That's already they say they have 9 gigs of RAM in the PlayStation, 8 for games, 1 for the OS. So let's just say Microsoft has 12 gigs, 11 for games, 1 for the OS. Just to be fair, let's just make it balanced. You're still talking about an extra 2 gigs of RAM. Actually, an extra 3 gigs of RAM, because that 1 gig is for the OS for PlayStation. An extra 3 gigs of RAM in that console. New GPU, because they're going for the latest tech. They didn't say they're going to put in some mid-gen or some other. They said the latest GPU, latest CPU. Funny when you see people say, oh, well, by the time the console come out, it's already going to be outdated. How? When they're getting the latest chips. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. How can they be outdated when they're getting the latest technology? I'll wait. So, I think that they are onto something. I think a lot of people will have egg on their face. And if they're able to get this console out at around $400, $500, $600, tiered the way they have the Xbox One S, they will completely blow the game away. And if you have not watched this Windows 10 event that recently passed, you are sleeping on this Surface Pro team. Absolutely. This freaking team is like incredible, bro. Like, incredible. What they show, let me tell you something. When they ran that commercial during the conference for the studio, the Surface Studio, the desktop PC, and they were playing, oh man, what is the name of that song? Oh my God. It's the song from is it Willy Wonka? I can't remember. I think it's like Make a Wish or something like that. I don't know. All I know is they had somebody cover that song while that commercial was running. And I was just watching this commercial. I felt inspired. Completely inspired. I don't know what I was inspired for, but I was inspired. I wanted to do something. Had nothing to do. It's like Microsoft marketing is incredible. Microsoft marketing is really good. And that's the reason why they won Publisher of the Year. Shout out to Microsoft for that. I applaud you. Publisher of the Year. That's an incredible award. Now, that is not Publisher of the Year because of the games they published, but shall I say, not the games they published first party, but because of all the games that they've published when it comes to marketing deals and things like that. And basically based around their marketing and stuff. They did an amazing job, man. I'm telling you, that marketing team is amazing. So I was completely impressed with what they showed, man. And I'm thinking to myself, that the Surface team is this good, I can imagine what Scorpio is going to be like. Scorpio is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. And it's concerning that Cerny came out and talked about the 8.4 teraflops running at 16 floats. I think that people should really think about reconsider what they're thinking. It's not what you think. The console still has 4.2 teraflops in it. It's just the way they break it up. Most games run at 32. The Polaris chip allows it to be split into 16 a piece, and those two 16 pieces can use the processing power separately. So one can use 4.2, another can use 4.2. But you're talking about games, most games that run, like most AAA titles aren't running on 16 float. They're running on 32 or 64. So what you're looking at is mainly indie titles, smaller games that don't take up a lot of resources can be ran at that 8.4, and this is theoretically that 8.4 processing, but at the same time, it's not something that Microsoft can't do. I just want that to be clear. So if Microsoft is eventually doing the same thing based on their chip, based on what they do with their console, then they would be doing things at 12. I mean, I said 12. Jesus Christ. It would be 6 a piece, which would be 12. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens with that, man. But absolutely fascinating with what Microsoft has coming out next year. I'm super hyped for Scalebound. I think Scalebound is going to be impressive now that that thing is probably going to be running on Scorpio. Was really scared for that game to release on Xbox One. Just, as much as I was enamored with it, just was really like, oh my God, the frame rate, 8 characters on screen plus enemies if you're trying to run 4-player co-op, talking about 4 people, 4 dragons, particle effects. Oh my God, I could just see it just slowing to a crawl. I mean, like almost 15 frames per second, Dead Rising-ish. But if it runs on Scorpio and they get it right, man, I can see it running at a solid lock 30. And at 4K or maybe even upscaled. I wouldn't mind that. As long as the frame rate for that game works, I would be happy. And I want to play a game like that with friends. That's something I can't do. Like, I can't play a JRPG with people. To me, that's kind of weird. Western RPG, absolutely. MMOs, sure. But I just feel like that type of game is just really meant for a single player experience. I think after I beat the game, I'll probably maybe hit up some of my friends and stuff like that and see how that pans out. But as of right now, I can't see it. Crackdown, to me, because we haven't seen anything from it right now, if they were to show that off with Scorpio first, I think it would be absolutely disappointing. I would be absolutely disappointed if they did that, because then it would tell me that the Xbox just could not run this game with the cloud. And that says a lot. That would say a lot. That would actually be egg on Microsoft face. because they promised certain things they didn't deliver. I still think Crackdown will deliver, but I just hope that they show it off on the Xbox first. And then we can see how it would run on Scorpio, which will probably be much better graphically and both fidelity wise. And then, of course, Sea of Thieves looks absolutely amazing. Love all of the water physics and the boat physics and the sound effects, the team gameplay. I am definitely going to make an amazing pirate crew. I can't wait to get my hands on that. And then, of course, Halo Wars 2. I am not an RTS guy, so I will not be picking up Halo Wars 2, but I heard some good things about it. We'll see how it pans out, man. Anybody out there who loves Halo Wars, who loves RTSs, I'm sure you guys will pick it up and you'll be really excited for what Microsoft is delivering next year. That's 4 games already dropping in 2017. All of those are AAA titles coming from Xbox. You have a new IP. You have a sequel. You actually have 2 new IPs and 2 sequels. And that's not even to talk about their indie titles and then what they will announce at E3 that is new. Oh, and of course, Forza. Don't forget Forza. So that's already 5 games. And yes, that's partially due to delays and that being pushed, but it is what it is, man. 2017 is shaping up to be big, and they already have 5 AAA titles. 5 AAA titles. Halo Wars 2, Scalebound, Sea of Thieves, Forza 7. What am I missing? Halo Wars. Oh, and Crackdown. That's 5 games already. Then you're talking about indie scene wise. You're talking about Below, Ashen, Cuphead. Trying to think off the top of my head. Some games that got pushed back. The Behemoth game. Oh man, I forgot all about that game. Man, they got a lot of titles, man. A lot of titles. I don't know about JRPGs though. I would love to be surprised at E3 with something new from Mistwalker. I would be absolutely ecstatic. I would stand up in the crowd. I would cheer and applaud, but I doubt it. I just doubt it. It probably is never going to happen, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited for both Scorpio and what they have presented. I'm probably going to go with a Switch. Oh, by the way, before I head out of here, man, I got to talk about this Nintendo Switch thing real quick. Nintendo, was super. I'm still hype on it. I can't be deterred. I really want this console, but there's a lot of things coming out that's been negative rumor-wise. There's no headphone jack in the controller. There's only 3 hours of battery life on the screen. Are they nuts? Are they insane? This better be fake. I'm telling you right now, that screen that had at least 6 to 9 hours of battery life. You don't make a console like that and only give me 3 hours of battery life. That is absolutely insane. That console better have, and they need to fix their online, and they better have a headphone jack in that controller or a wireless connection, one or the other. So I'm looking forward to this January 6th conference or whatever day it is in January to see what else they have to show about Switch, because I'm really into it. I'm actually not going to get a PS4 Pro because I want to wait to see what they show me with Switch. I'm really excited about this console. I've never been this excited. But also keep in mind that I've recently found out that the games that they showed on screen were not actual games running on a console. Nintendo. I don't know what's happening over there. I don't know who's in charge, but you need to get your act together. This is not a good look. This is not a good look at all. Very disappointing. And I'm hoping that they are able to change that around very quickly, and hopefully they impress us at this January conference, because I'm really interested in picking up a Switch. I really am. I haven't been so interested in picking up another console all generation until now. And I'm really a big Nintendo guy, so I'm hoping that they can fix this and I can get back into playing some old Nintendo favorites of mine as well as some new stuff. But if everything that I've been hearing is true, then I might just pick up a Pro. I'll probably pick up a Pro that March. Right around that time. Pick up a Pro around that time. Or around when the next best deal comes out. And that will be my second console instead. So we'll see what happens, man. But that's it for our show this week, man. I will definitely be back and do it on Wednesday. Obviously, I'm trying to get the scheduling conflicts down, but I am here. It's midnight, so I'm going to go ahead and end the show. I'll answer a few questions before I head out. I want to thank everybody for stopping in and hanging with me tonight. I just want to give my rounds real quick. On Monday, you have Multiverse Podcast, which recently dropped 3 days ago. On Tuesdays, you have the Writer's Block Podcast, and we're recruiting for new podcasters. So if you're interested and you want to do an audition to be a part of Tick Network and be on the Writer's Block Podcast, if you have a good opinion and a solid voice, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section and we will set you up with a scheduled slot and see how you fare chemistry-wise with the Writer's Block team. On Wednesday, you have me, KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox. On Thursdays, we don't really have anything, honestly. And then, of course, on Fridays, we alternate between Top Shelf and Tick Podcast with Anchorman V, myself, and B Money 101. We have some Let's Play games coming in. We just built a new Let's Play team, so we'll be having more games showing up very soon for those interested in gaming. And I'm still working on a web series for the channel. I will let you guys know more details about that later on, but we'll see how that all plays out, man. I'm really excited for it, for the potential of it, and I think a lot of fans will love it because I know you guys like what we do over here at TIC. So I'm your host, KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox. I want to thank everybody for stopping out, and I am off this planet. Peace. All right, guys, I'm still here. Just to let you know, I'm going to go ahead and try to answer a few questions for anyone who wants to ask some. If not, I will head out within the next 10 minutes. I know it's really late. I like guys like to head out and get some sleep and stuff like that. I got Battlefield 1, and I definitely want to hop on Battlefield 1 and give that a shot. I heard it's got really great reviews. The only thing I don't like about it, at least from the demo, was like there's power weapons in the game. It's almost like Gears, not in a sense where it's like you're lunking around and you're all over the map, but like everybody's going for the power weapons, the flamethrower or something like that or whatever. So getting the power weapons kind of put you in control of the map. It puts you in control of certain things and aspects. So I'm really excited for it. I'm definitely going to play the campaign. I heard it's short, but I heard it was really good. But I just really hope that when I play multiplayer that the power weapons aren't as powerful as people make them out to be, and that you can eliminate these guys pretty easily. Definitely going to play The Witcher. Definitely going to finish playing Far Cry. After that, be Gears of War. I just have a ton of games. I have 148 games, bro. 148 with 139 to install. That is insane. That's a combination of both new games and backwards compatible titles. So huge library, huge library. Very excited about that. Yeah. But listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping out. I want to thank my man Sword of the Democles. It's my boy. Really appreciate the support as always. Louis Shark, always supporting us. Kelvin definitely supporting us, and both on Tick Podcast and on our Facebook group. Shout out to the guys over in the DX room, the X-Men, the Mansion, over on the Facebook group. Really cool guys, man. Darian and them, you know, those guys are awesome. If you want a really cool Xbox group, just strictly Xbox, go ahead and head on over to the DX Mansion on the Facebook group. Those guys are really cool, man. Definitely hardcore Xbox guys, but not too insane. And of course, we have our own group. You can follow us on Facebook as well. Tick Network, the Inner Circle Network, I believe, a Facebook group. And we kind of get it popping in there and stuff like that every once in a blue. So definitely check us out there. If you're looking for us on iTunes, just type in Tick Podcast as one word in iTunes and do a search, and we are there. We're on Windows. We're on Android. We are also on the Cast app on the Xbox One. So if you want to listen to us on Xbox One, you don't want to hop on a laptop, you don't want to hop on your phone. If you're on your Xbox and you're playing a game, download the Cast app. CAST app has a little cat with headphones on it. Do a search for TIC Podcast as one word, and we will pop up and just save us to your library. And from there, you can listen to all of our shows Every time we put a new show in, you just refresh and it'll pop right up and you can listen to the show. You can even snap us to the side and listen to us in the background while you play your games. And how cool is that? And don't forget, we're still working on our own app, trying to get that up on the Xbox maybe sometime next year. We got a lot of things we're working on. Come January, we're going to have a new revamped site. Some of the things that we plan to do site-wise is we're going to open up the forums and we're going to try to give members leveling system. So that way, every time you level up, you get points, and those points will allow you to purchase things from us, whether it's games, whether it's reward cards, monthly membership cards, things like that. We have a lot of things in store for the Tick family, the guys out there that support us and things like that. We are really working diligently and hard to really improve the site. The site will be revamped. It'll be different, but it'll still be the same. You'll still get the same honest opinions, the same good content, no flame bait articles, great writing, and just, you know, it's Tick, man. You know how we do. We get our interviews and stuff like that, and we put them up on the site, and we garner some pretty good coverage. So I'm glad that we can provide that. You guys don't have to rely on IGN and their nonsense if you feel that's nonsense, or GameSpot, or any other place that you feel is biased. Just come to TIC Podcast and you'll get great multi-platform content, including movies and comics. We review comics. Great comic crew, man. You'll be surprised the type of comics that my crew covers. They do a great job there. I've been searching for an anime guy for the longest time. Oh my God. If I could just find one anime guy to bring in to do anime, I would just be so ecstatic, because I can't do it. I'm such a big anime head, which is just crazy to me. Louis says, thoughts about getting the forum on Tappa Talk. I've never heard of it. Tappa Talk. I would have to look into that. Can that be integrated into the site? If that can be integrated into the site, I might look into it. I've never heard of Tappa Talk. There's a lot of like different programs out there that you can integrate into websites and stuff like that. I would love to do that. I would definitely love to do that at some point. But man, I just think it's really cool. Guys just don't come in and talk. They come in, you make a post, you get points. You make a comment, you get points. You leave a comment on an article, you get points. All that stuff adds up, man. The more you support us, the more you check us out, the more rewards you will get. And we're going to try to set that up and start that in January of 2017. Start off the year right with a bang, as we always do. So hopefully you guys will love that, and you guys will continue to support us. Go ahead and give us a like. 23 people in here still watching. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show. I don't have any questions this time around, probably because it's too late. And we'll be back next week. So I want to thank everybody once again for stopping out tonight, hanging out with me. You guys have a great evening. I'm your host, KLYX Kal-El, the last on the planet Xbox, and I'm off this planet. Peace.